start going over the properties. I'm going to show you first how to do it, and then we're going to practice. You're going to get in your groups, and we're going to practice some problems together and make sure we understand it that way before I check to make sure everyone is getting it individually. So the first thing is we're talking about anything to a zero power. So what that an example is, a to the zero power is always equal to 1. It's based upon the identity property, but anything to the zero power equals 1. So b to the zero power equals 1. Now the exception would be if I did negative b to the zero power, it is also equal to 1 because the 0 is touching the parentheses. Therefore, the entire parentheses turns to 1. But if I do negative b to the zero power, this is actually negative 1. The 0 is actually touching just the b. Therefore, the b equals 1, and the negative stands for opposite. So the opposite of b to the zero power, so the opposite of 1 is negative 1. Numbers have the same rule. We do 4 to the zero power is 1. We can do negative 6 to the zero power is 1. But yet negative 6 to the zero power is negative 6. Negative 1, I'm sorry. The 0 is only touching the 6. Now, this can be used in fractions. It can be used in any form, such as if I have 2a to the zero power over x, the 0 is only touching the a. Therefore, this piece is the only piece that turns to 1. So that gives me 2 times 1 over x. So my final result is 2 over x. Alright, so what we're going to do now is, you guys are already kind of in your groups, so I'm going to put some questions on the board. I'm going to put like 4 questions. I want you to try them in your groups, and I'm going to walk around and check them real quick. Might actually just do a couple. And then once we seem to get it, we're going to explain it, go over it, and then we're going to try some on our own. So the questions I want you to try is a squared b to the zero power. And the second one is a to the zero power b squared. And I'm going to go ahead and give you one more. And that one would be 3y to the negative 2 to the zero power over 4. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is work on those in your groups. It should take you probably about a minute or so. And then we are going to go over these. Then we're going to separate and do our whiteboard checks. Okay, good. Seemed like you did pretty well on it. Let's go over them. In this case, every group had the correct answer, but if I have b to the zero power, that piece turns to a 1. And I end up with a squared. The a squared does not change because the 0 did not touch that a squared. In this case, the 0 was attached to the a. So the a turns to a 1. Therefore, I end up with just b squared. Now, on number 3, the 0 touches the parentheses. Therefore, everything inside of that parentheses turns to a 1, leaving me with just 3/4. Any questions? All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to get out the whiteboard. You have your whiteboard. You have your eraser. We already had those earlier. And everybody had a marker. If you didn't have one, you're supposed to have grabbed one. Anybody that did not get a marker, please raise your hand. Okay, good. We're ready to go. So I'm going to give you some problems on your own now. When you get the answer written down on your whiteboard, you're just going to hold it up. I don't want you to turn it sideways. I need to be able to see it. So make sure you hold it up where I can see it. I'm going to glance around the room to check and make sure everybody looks like they're understanding it before we go on to the next piece. I don't want to get anybody left behind, so please make sure you're doing your own work. So what we're going to do now is the first one we're going to do is going to be c to the 0 power d cubed. Okay, go ahead and solve that one. Okay, got one more person. Okay, good job. Everybody seemed to have got that one. Let's go ahead and look at the next one. One more question. Go ahead and make sure you erase your other one so I don't mix them up and think you missed it when you didn't. Go ahead and answer that one. Good. I had a couple people make a mistake, but be careful. This 0 is touching the entire parentheses. Therefore, the 0 should be a 1. The 0 turns the parentheses into a 1 over 4. This 4 is in the denominator here. Therefore, it should be in the denominator in the answer. Just because the numerator turns to a 1 does not mean you can reciprocate it and put it into the numerator. It has to stay in the denominator. So since this 4 is in the denominator, it will carry through the denominator. This top piece turns to